at whatever level. If it's running battles, let's do it. If it's throwing stones, so be it. If it's at a policy level, let's do it. But we as civil society must engage government to ensure that it responds to the aspirations of this country. Thank you so much.
Another one debate, please. Come on. Ready to talk to the subject. Organizing citizens for effective participation and reform. Betty.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Umelala? I'm Kenya, Kenya. I was a bit hesitant to go to that podium because I'm allergic to them. I am more effective on the ground or in the streets. I think I want to talk more on mobilizing citizens for effective participation in reforms. And I think that it was very strategic to have this particular discussion in this forum, because probably looking at the changes that have happened in this country, we must agree that most changes happened when people mobilized and spoke in one voice. So, Monica Amora was asking, does the woman's vote count? Now, the thing I'm asking by the end of this forum, does the citizen voice count when it comes to issues and reforms in this country? We can identify some of the moments of change where reforms have taken place. When we were seeking for independence, Kenyans united and they all demanded for independence, and that's how we got it. The Kikuyus and the Maumau, the Otalel, all those people united and we got reforms. In the 1990s, when dictatorship was at its highest, reforms also happened, but not without losing some of our loved ones, having people going for exile because of speaking against dictatorship, and having some people put in Nyayo House. Then, people also united when they were seeking for multi-party democracy. Although the government had come with the methods of silencing those who were speaking against one-party system, we know that it reached a time when all Kenyans said they wanted multi-party democracy, and the government could not keep these people in prisons, and therefore change had to happen. Then, there was now where all Kenyans united again in demand for the constitutional reform, which we haven't gotten up to today. And we know where we went wrong, or where they went wrong, or who went wrong. Then, Kenyans were also united in removing Kanu from power and ushering NAC government. And they also had a lot of hope in this NAC government. Did they get it? Hey, are we together?
We are.
Did we get it? Did we get the change we wanted?
No.
Did we get the reforms we wanted?
No.
Then, after that, we also know that in early 2008, Kenyans were united on the issue of ending the post-election violence. No matter where they came from, I think at one point we all spoke in one voice and we said that we wanted the violence to end, meaning that we all love our country. What brought us together? Or what brought us together, or what brought Kenyans together in all this situation? It is because the issues that were being addressed were directly touching on Kenyans' issues. Kenyans also know the areas that they want reformed. The PRM that was led by Nagrasha Machel, when they went around collecting views, Kenyans knew what they wanted as reforms. That had also come on earlier during the collection of the views during the constitutional law review. However, there was now the urgency of having some of these reforms looked into after the post-election violence. And we know that we, the civil society, are specifically supposed to be dealing with Agenda 4. We also know that the politicians and government have benefited more than the citizens when it comes to issues of addressing reforms. In the areas we are dealing with is the resettlement of IDPs, implementation of regular and working reports. We know that they collected the views, they gave their views, but when it comes to implementing their recommendations, there is very little that is going on. We know that we still have to complete the constitutional review process, which we haven't. We know that the post-election balance, what we call them, culprits, have not been brought to book. We know that there is very little happening on the issue of land reforms. We know that public institutions like police have not been reformed, although we know that Ali was removed, but I don't think that was enough. So, what are we doing, or what are the challenges that we face as civil society when we talk of mobilizing? Are we, in the first place, do we have the capacity to mobilize as civil society? Those are the questions. To mobilize people towards changes or towards reforms that directly touch them. Are we in a position to mobilize them? Are we first speaking on reforms on the same page? Last week I was attending a workshop where we had people from the grassroots, and I asked them whether they exactly knew what was in agenda forms, and they all gave different answers. In today we also asked whether we know what we are talking about when we talk of reforms. We know we all have different answers because everybody is affected in a different way, and we want reforms in a different way. So, probably one of the things that we need to consider is agreeing on what kind of reforms we are pushing for and how we can be able to move as civil society towards addressing those issues. For example, do we need to be divided in regions when we are addressing issues of reforms or around thematic areas of reforms? We know that early 2008, there were so many areas of reforms that the civil society was not able to cope with it, with the limited resources that they had. So some of the challenges that are facing us, even as civil society, to when addressing reforms, is that we have come from a very disputed election, and some of us are still taking sides. Despite the fact that the two principles have united, we know some of us are still very divided. Then we know that at the grassroots level, or at some levels, people are still divided on ethnic lines. I don't know whether that has been there, or it is something that came, or it's very hard to tell. They seem to be satisfied and comfortable with having divided themselves and their cronies with the blank jobs and divided power among themselves. So they are no longer in a hurry to ensure that reforms is taking place. Then we have the conditions that have been formed by very little seems to be coming out of it. So today, if you say you wanted to address what the National Commission, for example, is addressing, or GDRC is addressing, you will be able to go to that commission. But can you be able to get, or will tenants be able to get what they want in terms of reforms from those commissions? Then, as I had also said that we are not at the same stage when it comes to the issues of reform. Then the civil society is also very divided, and sometimes it is caused by the limited resources, because some people want to get the resources and use to get it for keep it for themselves. So this competition for resources divides the civil society further. Then we also have the people who call themselves reformers, yet they are also stumbling blocks to reforms. Probably when you are talking about reforms, people will see you as a stumbling block rather than a reformer. Then we are also dealing with a very arrogant police force that is enjoying the power, a lot of powers. And like in 1990s when they would arrest those ones who are opposed to them, we know that they are killing, they are even killing human rights defenders. We lost Oscar Ilara last night. The one who was speaking for Mugiki, or who was trying to speak for Mugiki, lost his life mysteriously. Then we are dealing with the wrong police. Sometimes we don't know whether it is the police who are doing this, or it is the wrong people, the wrong police that are doing this. And like we civil society people have also not been organized and taken our stake higher when it comes to mobilizing. If many of you have been to Nairobi recently, you may have noticed